Keto and crime, keto and crime. We uncover the grime on keto and crime. Keto and crime, keto and crime. Now is the time for keto and crime.
Hey everyone, Tracy here from Keto and Crime. Thank you so much to every single one of my patrons and channel members. You make this possible. And you're one of the reasons I do this. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart. And if I haven't said it before, thank you. I'll sing it. Thank you. Thank you for hanging in there with me and letting me geek out, not making fun of me like a lot of other people do, because I like weird stuff about crime and dark history. Thanks, everyone. The world's population is not ignorant to the fact that there have been many conflicts and many wars throughout the annals of history. And of those, there have been a lot of egregious abuses perpetrated on people by governments. Perhaps unwittingly, perhaps not intentionally, but they still happen. And one of the most egregious abuses of power and the use of weapons outside conventional weapons that we are aware of is the use of Agent Orange during the Vietnam War. From 1961 to 1971, Operation Ranch Hand was a tactical strategy used by the Americans to basically wipe out as much forest land in Vietnam and in Laos, in some cases, to get rid of their enemy, the Viet Cong. Now, Agent Orange was not the only chemical used in that attack. In fact, there was a rainbow mixture of different agents with different colored names that were used during that to completely deforest any area that was sprayed with it. However, Agent Orange has the distinction of being the most deadly, made up of two herbicides in the T family known as tetrachlorozine benzo, or more commonly known as dioxins. These are ones that are known to have caused more health problems and more damage to the environment than any other, as well as damage to both people that were exposed to it in the present day as well as their offspring. So you have changes right down to the DNA that was caused by Agent Orange. Over 4 million people in Vietnam were exposed to it directly. 3 million of them developed health problems at some point during their life, and then we are still counting what happened to their offspring. Diseases such as leukemia, Hodgkin's lymphoma, and other cancers have been linked to this pesticide. But why was it used? Why was it used? Why was Operation Ranch Hand a thing? And what are the effects of it? Well, let's talk about it. Operation Ranch Hand had its roots in another use of Agent Orange, believe it or not, by the British government in the Malayan emergency of 1948 to 1960. This was basically a war between the British, who were occupying Malaysia at the time, and the National Liberation Army of Malaysia, or Malayan National Liberation Army, as whoever you want to term that, was a pro-communist group that wanted to turn Malaysia into a socialist government. And so a long war was waged between Britain and the anti-British troops. And as part of that battle, Agent Orange was used to, again, deforest large swaths of land to defeat the communist regime or the communist army. Deforestation was deemed a viable tactic because of the type of warfare that was instigated by the Malaysian Liberation Army, and that was that of guerrilla warfare, basically stalking British troops in the heavily forested areas of Malaysia and attacking and killing them willy-nilly. much like was used in the Vietnam War, which is why American forces took their nod from the British forces and decided that if you eliminate the cover of the guerrillas, you are going to eliminate the guerrillas. And this was used here as well. Much like the Malayan emergency, Vietnam War was fought to prevent a communist takeover of the country of Vietnam by the United States and its other allies, but mainly the United States. And as a result, guerrilla warfare became the mainstay. To prevent more loss of American life, the United States military entered into something known as Operation Ranch Hand, which is basically a deforestation of most of the Vietnam, Cambodia, and even Laos coast by use of a rainbow mixture of different herbicides and pesticides. Among them were Agent Green, Agent Pink, Agent Purple, Agent Blue. I feel like I'm trapped in Reservoir Dogs. Agent White, and then Agent Orange. And Agent Orange had 4 distinct types: Agent Orange 2, Agent Orange 3, and Enhanced Agent Orange. And the Agent Orange variation became the most deadly. The herbicides used in Operation Ranch Hand were procured from Dow Chemical Company, who did all of them except blue and orange. And Monsanto did orange, purple, pink, and Hercules did purple. Now, of course, perhaps the whole effects of these were not well known. Perhaps the side effects were not well tested, but that we did know that they would poison vast swaths of land, and they were used against wild vegetation as well as food crops to basically start famine and other means of wiping out the Viet Cong. But no matter what was known, we have to realize that this type of operation is what is known as scorched earth, that you leave nothing living in your stead. Much like Genghis Khan did when he invaded the majority of Asia, much like Alexander the Great often did, much like Vlad the Impaler did to prevent the Turks from entering Europe. Scorched earth, where you kill the land as well as all people around to kill the enemy. And that was kind of the operation here. Basically, they were fighting an enemy they couldn't see because they were so well camouflaged within the forests and jungles of Vietnam. So let's just kill it all. And the United States had the approval of the South Vietnam or Democratic Government of Vietnam to use this type of warfare against the North Vietnamese Viet Cong. So basically, South Vietnam did not want to be invaded, and so they asked the United States to use any means necessary, and it was actually President Ngo Diem of South Vietnam who asked the United States to do herbal pesticide spraying to lessen the effect that the forest has on warfare. And as a result, Operation Ranch Hand, and it lasted from 1961 to 1971, and approximately 20 million gallons of the rainbow mixture of herbicides and pesticides were used in both Vietnam, Cambodia, and Laos. Planes and helicopters would fly low and spray huge amounts of acreage. Over 20% of South Vietnam's forests and farmland was affected over the 9.5-year period of Operation Ranch Hand, and countless millions of both South Vietnamese and North Vietnamese fighters and civilians were exposed to Agent Orange as a result. In the years after the Vietnam War, the most tragic effects, besides those on the environment and on the people that were actually exposed directly, but we know that generationally, Agent Orange has affected people right down to the DNA. Children, grandchildren of the people exposed have been affected. Various types of cancer, including leukemia, Hodgkin's, multiple melanoma, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, prostate cancer, respiratory cancer, lung cancer, and sarcomas of soft tissues have been linked to exposure to Agent Orange, to those directly exposed. The people that were born to the people directly exposed have been born with various birth defects, included cleft palates, mental disabilities, hernias, extra fingers and toes. This continued on because high levels of the dioxin were found in breast milk, which infected more babies and more people, and we are just now understanding how terrible this whole operation was. I'm not saying the government did it on purpose. They knew what they were doing. I don't think they really mapped out the effects this would have on people, but they did. And this affected not only Vietnamese people, the people they were trying to kill, but also their own American soldiers and the soldiers of their allies, which took their exposed DNA back and had children, grandchildren. And so we are still seeing people that have been affected by exposure to Agent Orange over 40 to 50 years ago. But of course, just like the Tuskegee experiment, the most egregious thing the United States government did was, after they saw the effects of Agent Orange, they told their veterans not to worry, it wouldn't hurt them. And then as a result, veterans go home, they have all these strange illnesses, all these strange maladies, their children are affected, their wives are having miscarriages, and eventually, by the early 90s, the Department of Defense has admitted that it basically withheld information from the veterans and started allowing veterans to claim disability status through exposure to Agent Orange. So far, almost 50,000 veterans have been compensated, hopefully more. But basically, the United States received kind of a black eye when, even in the 90s, the United Nations issued an edict saying that the use of this type of warfare should never be used again. So they messed up. They messed up just like they did with the Tuskegee experiment. They made a mistake and they attempted to cover it up by withholding information. But that doesn't make it any less evil. And that's why the use of Agent Orange will go down as one of the worst uses of medical experimentation and biological experimentation in